The dagger plunged into my brother's back right before my eyes. I stood at the threshold of his chambers, clutching the herbal tea for his insomnia that he'd asked me to bring. Aiden turned toward me, his face contorting in pain. Behind his shoulder a hilt protruded, elegant, adorned with rubies. A royal dagger. Our royal dagger. Calla, he exhaled, blood spilling from his lips. The cup slipped from my fingers, shattered against marble. The assassin had already vanished, a shadow dissolving into the balcony darkness. I lunged toward my brother, but it was too late. His body crumpled to the floor, and I pressed my palms to the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. My magic flickered somewhere inside, weak and useless as always. A spark of light flashed between my fingers and died. No, Aiden, hold on! But his eyes were already glazing over. The heir to the throne, my older brother, the only one who'd never mocked my defective magic, died in 30 seconds. And I, as always, could do nothing. The guards burst into the room too late. They dragged me from the body, but my brother's blood had already soaked through my dress, caked under my nails. Someone was screaming. Turned out to be me. They led me away while chaos erupted throughout the palace. 2 hours later, they summoned me to the throne hall. I hadn't changed clothes. The council of elders waited, arranged in a semicircle before the empty throne. Lord Casper, the chief advisor, looked at me with barely concealed contempt. He'd always believed a daughter with defective magic was a disgrace to the dynasty. "Princess Calla," his voice echoed through the hall. "Given the heir's death, you, as the last representative of royal blood, must undergo the Summoning Rite." I clenched my fists. "I know the law." "Then you know you have no choice," Casper smiled, and in that smile I read my sentence. He wanted me to fail. "The rite will take place at dawn. If you cannot summon a kingdom protector, the throne passes to the council. In other words, to him." I looked at the blood on my hands. Aiden was dead. Someone killed him with a royal dagger, which meant the traitor was one of our own. And if I failed the rite, my brother's murderer would go unpunished forever. "I'll be ready at dawn," I forced through gritted teeth. The summoning circle was drawn in the heart of the old tower, where the kingdom's magic surged from beneath the earth. Runes pulsed with silver light, and the air trembled with power. I stood at the circle's center barefoot, dressed in a white ceremonial gown. They'd loosened my hair and adorned it with moonflowers, symbol of the summoner's purity. Purity. What irony. I felt like a fraud. Casper recited the ancient words while I repeated after him, pouring all my pathetic magic into the spell. Usually summoning took minutes. Royal blood attracted guardian angels, mighty beings of light. Aiden had summoned his in 5 minutes. Mother, in 3. I'd been chanting for 20 minutes, and nothing happened. Sweat rolled down my spine. The runes began flickering, their light dimming. I heard the council of elders whispering behind me. Someone chuckled quietly. My cheeks burned with humiliation. "Just a little more," I whispered, desperately clinging to threads of magic. "Please." My power flared, not silver, but black. I cried out in surprise. The runes beneath my feet exploded with darkness, and the entire circle filled with this blackness, thick and sticky like tar. One of the elders screamed. I fell to my knees but couldn't stop. Magic was tearing out of me, uncontrolled and wild. And then the darkness contracted. A figure emerged from it. Tall, clad in black garments resembling armor made of shadow. First I saw the hands. Long fingers covered in runes that glowed dull red. Then, the face. Chiseled features, as if carved from marble. Pale skin, sharp cheekbones. Silver hair gathered at the nape. And the eyes. Eyes the color of ice and ash, with shadows of souls dancing in them. "Who dared summon me?" His voice was low, with a metallic resonance, as if he spoke simultaneously from this world and somewhere else. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't an angel. This was something else. My voice broke. I summoned you. He slowly lowered his gaze to me, and I felt his power pressing on my chest, squeezing air from my lungs. He stepped forward and the runes on his skin flared brighter. You summoned Raphael, Lord of the Borderlands, jailer of lost souls. He tilted his head, studying me. And you've bound me to yourself. I felt it that same second, an invisible chain stretching from my heart to his. A magical key, summoning bonds. This is a mistake, I breathed. His lips twitched in something like a smile, but there was nothing warm in it. A mistake? Girl, you've just condemned yourself to a fate far worse than death. You're bound to one who can take your soul with a single word. They locked us in this palace's northern wing. Raphael didn't resist, which was even more terrifying. He simply stood in the middle of my chambers, examining the tapestries and furniture with the air of someone appraising loot. I stayed by the door, as far from him as possible. Though I felt those damned bonds, they stretched taut, as if warning I couldn't go too far. You need to help me, I said, trying to keep my voice from shaking. Someone murdered my brother. I must find the killer. Raphael turned toward me. In the candlelight, his face seemed even more inhuman. Too perfect, too cold. I don't care about your family drama, princess. I want only one thing, to sever these bonds and return to the Borderlands. The bonds can't be severed until the summoning's purpose is fulfilled, I snapped. That's basic rules. Basic rules for angels. He took a step closer, and I instinctively retreated to the wall. I'm not an angel, Calla. Your magic summoned me from a place where different laws rule. And if I don't find a way to free myself, I'll kill you myself and tear these chains through your death. My heart pounded wildly. I could see he wasn't bluffing. Then we're both interested in finding the murderer. I raised my chin, forcing myself to meet his gaze. Because the summoning's purpose is to protect the kingdom, and the kingdom can't be protected while a traitor operates within the palace. Raphael froze, then slowly smiled, and there was something predatory in that smile. Clever girl. You really think you can handle me? I've handled worse. It was a lie. I'd never handled anything. But I couldn't show him my weakness. Instinct told me, if he sensed fear, he'd devour me alive. He crossed the room in 3 strides, and suddenly he was right there, towering over me. His hand rose, and I flinched, but he only traced a finger along my jaw, cold as death itself. Liar, he whispered. I can smell your fear. It's delicious. I didn't sleep that night. How could I, with him in my chambers? Raphael had claimed the armchair by the fireplace, lounging in it like some dark prince surveying his conquered territory. He didn't need sleep, apparently. Just sat there, watching me with those unnerving eyes while I paced the room, my mind racing through possibilities. Someone killed Aiden with a royal dagger. Only 5 people had access to those weapons, the king's children and the 3 highest-ranking council members. Father was dead 3 years now. Aiden was dead. That left me, Casper, Lady Morwen, and Commander Thorne. Stop pacing, Raphael's voice cut through my thoughts. Your anxiety is making the bonds itch. I whirled on him. Then tell me how to use them. These bonds, what can they do? His expression shifted, something like interest flickering across his face. Curious now, are we? The bonds work both ways, princess. I can feel your emotions, your pain, and you can feel mine, if you're brave enough to look. I'm brave enough. Are you? He stood, unfolding from the chair with inhuman grace. Because what you'll find in here, he tapped his chest, might break that fragile human mind of yours. I've collected 10,000 souls, Calla, each one screaming inside me, each one begging for release. I swallowed hard but held my ground. Show me. Something dark and approving crossed his features. He extended his hand. Touch the bonds. Focus on the connection. I closed my eyes and reached for that invisible chain linking us. The moment I grasped it, I gasped. A flood of sensation, cold, ancient rage, crushing loneliness, and beneath it all, something that felt almost like grief. And then I saw them. Faces. Hundreds, thousands of faces, mouths open in silent screams, reaching for me with translucent hands. I yanked back, stumbling. Raphael caught my arm, steadying me, and the touch sent ice shooting through my veins. Now you understand what you've bound yourself to, he said softly. Still think you can handle me? My hands were shaking, but I forced them still. Yes, because I just felt something else in there too. You're not just a monster, Raphael. You're a prisoner, just like those souls. His expression turned to stone. He released me so abruptly I nearly fell. Don't presume to understand me, girl. I chose this existence. Did you? I challenged. Because that didn't feel like a choice. That felt like a curse. For a moment, genuine fury blazed in his eyes, and I thought he might actually kill me. Then he laughed, sharp, bitter. Perhaps you're not as fragile as you look. Fine, I'll help you find your brother's killer. But when this is done, we will find a way to break these bonds. I don't care if it kills us both. Morning brought an unexpected visitor. Lady Alara, my brother's former betrothed, swept into my chambers without knocking. She froze when she saw Raphael, her face going pale. What is that? She breathed. My summoned protector, I said dryly. Raphael, this is Lady Alara. Alara, try not to faint. Raphael's lips quirked in amusement. Charmed. Alara regained her composure with visible effort, though she kept glancing at him nervously. Calla, I came because I need to tell you something about Aiden. Something I should have told the guards, but I was afraid. I sat forward. What is it? The night before he died, Aiden came to my chambers. He was terrified. He said he'd discovered something about the royal treasury, that someone on the council was embezzling funds, massive amounts. He was planning to expose them the next day. My blood ran cold. Did he say who? No, but he seemed certain he had proof. Alara twisted her hands. And there's more. I saw someone leaving his chambers that night, after he left mine. Someone wearing a council member's cloak. Could you identify them? It was too dark. I only saw the cloak, dark blue, with gold trim. Casper's colors. Casper, of course. But it could have been any council member borrowing his cloak. Or it could have been him. Thank you for telling me, I said quietly. But, Alara, be careful. If the killer knows you saw them, that's why I'm leaving the capital today. My family has an estate in the north. I'll be safer there. She rose to leave, then paused. Calla, Aiden loved you. He always said you were stronger than anyone gave you credit for. I think he was right. After she left, Raphael spoke. She's lying about something. I turned to him. What? Her heartbeat. It quickened when she mentioned seeing someone in Casper's cloak. She knows more than she's saying. Then we need to follow her before she leaves the capital. Raphael smiled, and for the first time it reached his eyes, making him look both beautiful and terrifying. Now you're thinking like a predator, princess. I approve. We caught up with Alara's carriage just outside the city gates. Raphael's powers made it absurdly easy. He simply pulled us both into shadow, and we traveled through darkness itself, emerging on the road ahead. When Alara's driver saw us materialize from nothing, he nearly drove the carriage into a ditch. Calla! Alara's voice was shrill with panic as I wrenched open the carriage door. What are you doing? Telling the truth, I hope. I climbed inside, Raphael following with predatory grace. The whole truth this time, Alara. What aren't you telling me? She pressed herself against the opposite seat, eyes darting between us. I don't know what you mean. Raphael leaned forward, and the temperature in the carriage dropped. Your pulse is racing. You're sweating despite the cold, and there's the distinct scent of guilt rolling off you in waves. Tell her, or I'll pull the truth from your soul myself. You can do that? I asked, startled. Would you like to find out? His gaze never left Alara. No. Alara's composure shattered. Please, I'll tell you. Just keep him away from me. She drew a shuddering breath. The person I saw, it wasn't just someone wearing Casper's cloak. I saw their face for a moment when they passed a torch. It was Commander Thorn. Commander Thorn, the head of the Royal Guard, the man who'd sworn to protect the royal family with his life. Why didn't you tell me? My voice came out strangled. Because he's Commander Thorn. If I accused him without proof, I'd be the one executed for treason, and, she bit her lip. And because Aiden wasn't the only target, 2 days before he died, I found this in my chambers. She pulled out a folded parchment from her bodice. I opened it, and my hands began to shake. Tell anyone what you saw, and you'll join the prince. Thorn knows you witnessed something, Raphael said quietly, which means leaving the capital won't save you. He'll send assassins. Alara's face crumpled. What do I do? I looked at Raphael, and understanding passed between us through the bonds. For the first time, we were in agreement. You come back to the palace, I said, under my protection, and Raphael's. His smile was sharp as a blade. Touch her, and die. That goes for Commander Thorn or anyone else foolish enough to try. Bringing Alara back to the palace was possibly the stupidest thing I'd ever done, but it was also the first time I'd felt like I was actually doing something, rather than being carried along by events. Thorn knew we were on to him now. The question was, what would he do about it? The answer came that night. I woke to Raphael's hand clamped over my mouth, his body pressed against mine in the darkness. Before I could panic, I felt his thoughts through the bonds. Don't scream. Assassins. 3 of them. My heart hammered as he released me. In the moonlight filtering through my window, I could see 3 shadows moving through my chambers, blades glinting. They moved toward the bed where they thought I still slept. I'd insisted Alara take the bed while I took the chaise, much to her protest. One assassin raised his blade above the sleeping form. Raphael moved like death itself. One moment he was beside me. The next, darkness exploded through the room. The assassins didn't even have time to scream. Shadows wrapped around them, lifted them off their feet, and I watched in horrified fascination as Raphael literally pulled the souls from their bodies. The bodies collapsed. 3 wisps of light, souls, struggled in his grip before he absorbed them. His eyes blazed red for a moment, and I felt his power surge through our bonds, intoxicating and terrifying. Calla? Alara's sleepy voice came from behind the bed curtains. What was that noise? Nothing, I managed. Go back to sleep. When she settled, I turned to Raphael. He stood among the 3 corpses, breathing hard, looking more alive than I'd ever seen him. You just killed them, I whispered. I saved your life, he corrected, and collected 3 more souls for my collection. Thorn sent them. I can taste it in their final thoughts. What did they think? That you needed to die before you could accuse him publicly, and that I was an abomination who needed to be destroyed. His smile was savage. They were wrong about the second part. Want to see? See what? He extended his hand again. I can share their memories with you, show you everything they knew about Thorn's plans. I hesitated. Touching him was like diving into ice water, painful and addictive all at once. But I took his hand. The memories flooded through me. Thorn meeting with Caspar in secret chambers, discussing the treasury theft. Thorn planting evidence against Aiden. Thorn whispering orders to assassins. And finally, the moment Thorn himself drove the ruby-hilted dagger into my brother's back. I gasped, releasing Raphael's hand. Tears burned my eyes. He did it. Thorn killed Aiden. On Casper's orders, Raphael confirmed. They're working together. Casper embezzled the funds. Thorn did the dirty work. With the royal family eliminated, they'd rule through the council. Then we need to expose them. Tomorrow, at the council meeting. Raphael studied me in the darkness. You realize they'll try to kill us both before we can speak. I know. And you still want to do this? I looked at my brother's murderers' corpses, thought of Aiden bleeding out on the floor, thought of every moment people had dismissed me as weak. I want to watch them burn. Something shifted in Raphael's expression, surprise perhaps, or respect. You might survive this yet, Calla. The council meeting convened at noon in the Great Hall. I walked in wearing Aiden's colors, deep blue and silver, with Alara at my side, and Raphael behind me like a dark shadow. The council members stared. Casper's smile was thin and false. Princess Calla, how bold of you to attend, and you've brought the abomination. His name is Raphael, I said coolly, and I'm here to accuse Commander Thorn of my brother's murder. The hall erupted. Thorn shot to his feet, hand on his sword. Guards tensed. That's treason, Thorn snarled. I would never— You drove the ruby dagger into his back yourself, I cut him off. On orders from Lord Casper, who embezzled from the royal treasury. My brother discovered your theft, and you killed him to keep him quiet. Casper laughed. What proof do you have, girl? The mad accusations of a princess with defective magic, who summoned a demon instead of an angel. I have proof. Alara stepped forward, her voice shaking but determined. I saw Commander Thorn leaving Prince Aiden's chambers the night of the murder, and I have this. She produced the threatening note. Several council members leaned in to examine it. A note proves nothing, Thorn growled, but his hand was still on his sword, and sweat beaded his forehead. Then how about this? Raphael's voice cut through the noise like a blade. He stepped forward and shadows began swirling around him. I consumed the souls of the 3 assassins you sent last night, Thorn. I have all their memories, every conversation, every order you gave. Shall I project them for the council to see? Thorn went white. You're bluffing, Casper said, but his voice wavered. Try me. Raphael's eyes blazed. I can pull your souls out right here and now, let the council watch your memories as you die. Or you can confess. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Thorn lunged, not at Raphael, but at me. Everything happened at once. Thorn's sword flashed toward my throat. Guards shouted. Alara screamed, and Raphael moved. One moment he was across the room, the next, his hand was through Thorn's chest. Not physically. His hand was wreathed in shadow, and he held something glowing and writhing. Thorn's soul. I said it. Raphael's voice was death itself. Touch her, and die. Thorn's body convulsed once, twice, then collapsed. The soul in Raphael's grip screamed silently before he crushed it, absorbing it into himself. The council sat in stunned silence. Casper tried to run. He made it 3 steps before shadows wrapped around his ankles, dragging him back. Confession time, Raphael said pleasantly. Or shall I make it painful? Casper broke. The whole sordid story spilled out. Years of embezzlement, bribing Thorn, planning to eliminate the royal family and seize power through the council. When he finished, Lady Morwen stood. Casper, you are stripped of your position and will be executed at dawn. Princess Calla, she inclined her head. You have proved yourself worthy. The throne is yours. They crowned me 3 days later. I stood in the same hall where I'd been humiliated during the summoning, wearing my mother's crown, and felt Aiden's absence like a wound. But I also felt something else. Strength, hard-won, and real. Raphael stood beside the throne as my eternal guard. The bonds still connected us, but they felt different now. Less like chains, more like a bridge. After the ceremony, we retreated to the palace gardens. The moon was full, casting silver light across the roses. The summoning's purpose is fulfilled, I said quietly. The kingdom is protected. The traitors are dealt with. You could break the bonds now. Raphael was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was softer than I'd ever heard it. I could. I've found a way. Requires a blood sacrifice. But I could manage it. He turned to me. But I find myself reluctant. My heart stuttered. Why? Because in 2,000 years of collecting souls, I've never met anyone who looked at me and saw past the monster. You saw the prisoner. The curse. He reached out, his cold fingers brushing my cheek with unexpected gentleness. You're infuriating, reckless, and far too brave for your own good. And somewhere in this nightmare, I forgot I wanted to kill you. I caught his hand, held it against my face despite the cold. What do you want instead? Something I haven't wanted in centuries. His other hand came up to cup my face, and his ice-pale eyes held mine. To stay, if you'll have a monster as your consort. You're not a monster, Raphael. You're just complicated. He laughed, and for the first time it sounded almost human. Is that a yes, Your Majesty? Instead of answering, I pulled him down and kissed him. His lips were cold against mine, but as the kiss deepened, I felt warmth spreading through the bonds. Not the chill of death, but something alive and electric. His arms wrapped around me, careful despite their strength, and I felt 10,000 souls humming in approval. When we finally broke apart, Raphael was smiling, genuinely smiling. I suppose that's settled then. I suppose it is. We stood together in the moonlight, Queen and Borderlands. Lord bound by magic and something far stronger. The kingdom needed protecting. My power was still unstable, his was still dark and deadly. But together, we were unstoppable. And anyone who threatened us would learn what it meant to face the Queen who'd tamed death itself, and the Lord who'd chosen love over eternity. Because in the end, trust isn't weakness. It's the bridge between two souls, brave enough to meet in the dark.